the Miami Dolphins. I remember it. I've told the story many times. I was on my way to the press box. They had to take an elevator to get up there. It's always a guy named Smitty. He's operating the elevator. Hey, Smitty, yeah, take him up to the press box. No, they're clear. So I get in the elevator. I'm the only guy in the elevator at that point. And I ask him something, just to pass a little conversation along. Because, it feels awkward, right? Everybody's in the elevator and they're all staring at the floors. Like what floor it's going on. Nobody talks to each other.
The elevator ride is the most awkward ride. No one ever talks. Right?
People start smelling their own armpits to see if it's them. I thought I had deodorant, huh? In Lubie's case, I don't know what you would recommend. We were thinking maybe a Dilaudid drip. Because his worst fear is that Ryan Tannehill carries a team to a Super Bowl after he and many like him, including, I don't know that I was adamant that he could never do it. Ian Eagle.
In regards to Lubie, he's not the first talk show host to fall victim to this. You make a statement, and then for the rest of your life, you root against that person because you don't want to be proven wrong.
Oh my God.
Like Ryan Tannehill is a nice guy. He's a class act. He's had a great second chapter with the Tennessee Titans. He's rebuilt his career. Yet there's Lubie in his basement with like a small little doll, sticking needles into the neck of Ryan Tannehill just because he doesn't want his original statement to come back to haunt him. And we've all been there. That's the thing. Like you can't get away from it, and it becomes very personal. Like there's no reason, there's no logical, rational reason for Mike to hate Ryan Tannehill.
Zero.
He's done nothing wrong.
Nice to Lubie when he was on the show.
Nice.
Correct, and yet you still have these feelings of rage, which you may need to seek some form of treatment at this point. You need to talk to a professional. I can't help you. It's beyond my pay grade.
Fine.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Good morning, one and all. Yes, you look at the screen, you're like, why is there one person there? Why does he look sort of pale? Yes, that pale person with the former crib behind me is Mike Lubitz. This is the Defo Show with Lubie, I like to say. The one and only Defo is, I guess, monitoring me because I've never gotten so many texts from Defo as I've gotten in the last, hour. Like, I don't hear from Defo, literally from when our show's done, the one day to the next. And being I'm co-host, but I'm producer. You want to be in contact with the person you do a show with? No. Defo doesn't answer phones or texts. Not at all. Anyone who knows Defo knows this. And other people get frustrated. I don't. It's been in June. End of June, early July, it'll be 12 years. So with partners, whether in romance or friendships, you have to, and I've done a lot of therapy, so I've gotten better at this. You have to accept other people for who they are. So I accept Defo for that. But in that acceptance, I don't expect to ever hear from him. You just send a message to Defo, and it's it goes into ether. He may get it, he may not. Who knows? It's a fun game. So I never really hear from him. I don't even tell him guests anymore. I stopped that after year one. The morning of, in person, I used to give him a sheet and you go, look at that. That's what we have today. Ever since we weren't together, I don't even give him a sheet. I literally yell at him a minute before the show. This is what we have. It's okay. So I don't hear from Defo at all. This morning, I've heard from him 7 times. So he's on his way to Vegas, I guess, but he's not there yet. I don't know. We wish him luck. I always say this to him. He actually is really good when he goes on these trips. He doesn't really, quote unquote, lose his shirt, but he scares the crap out of me. So I always wish him luck. The good thing for him is he's with Jersey, and Jersey's actually, he's not joking. Jersey's amazing when he goes on these junkets, casino gambling. Most people don't have luck, especially Defo's wife, the staying when she's doing the slots. Jersey does. He's not a huge slot player, but when he plays the slots, he hits it big. And it sort of counteracts Defo's on the road losses because he doesn't do great on these trips. But I'm thinking with all the sports going on, he'll be doing a lot of sports wagering, which is very different than horse wagering. Defo doesn't do the quote unquote screen to screen when it comes to sports. So we wish him luck. Good luck, Defo. Please don't go broke. This is, again, the Defo Show with Lubie. We have a very busy show today. You will get, if you're tuning in for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, you will get the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge at 8:15 this morning. The one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgley and the professor. He has filled in for the trivia challenge in years past. He's been the co-host. He's done the questions. He knows his stuff. So the professor will be joining me probably around 7:20 or so, because we get him on here to do his segments. And he's free. Like he pushes it, but he'll be even more free because I'm going to give him co-hosting duties for probably 40 minutes. So cross your feet. Thank God it's here and not on terrestrial, because Ken Man can have some fun. So he will be joining me probably between 7:20 and 7:30. So I wouldn't say big dog. He's a Dolphin fan. He's not a lunatic Dolphin fan. He's a Kane fan. He's not a lunatic Kane fan. So that's why I like going to Ken, because I am a lunatic. Anyone who's watched any game with me ever knows I am a raving lunatic as a fan, as Defo's alluded to now for almost 12 years. Ken is not. Ken's the opposite. Like, you don't even know he's a fan. He's actually uber negative about his teams. So Ken's a good person to go to with the Dolphins coaching search, because he'll be flatly honest. Tua, flatly, because he was a Tua fan before me, and he's not turned on Tua, but he's very honest about Tua. So Ken, you'll get to hear more than just college football picks, and he is our college football guru, the one and only Ken Jacobson. I can't call him young Ken. He's like 5 or 6 years my senior, so that feels a little fucking weird to call a dude who's older than you young Ken. So I can't call him that. When I used to, he looked at me like I was an asshole. So I let Defo call him that. The professor, Ken Jacobson, will be joining us 7:20, 7:30. And again, we will do your highly apart trivia challenge. So feel free to give us a call, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 if you want to get in after 8:15. Because again, I'm a one-man crew. We usually are a two-man crew, which isn't a lot for a morning show. I am a one-man crew today, literally running the show and hosting. So if you call me, I can't answer it. I'm not going to lie to you. So do it around after 8:15. If I don't get to you, I will in the break give you a call back, and we'd love to get you on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, where you get a chance at winning a Landlubbers gift certificate. Tonight, I'll be at Landlubbers with Ken Jacobson doing my trivia thing. We start about 6:30. We give a Landlubber gift certificate here, $25. There, we give a couple as well, and it's a really good time. Landlubbers is a place I've been going to my entire life. So definitely come check us out tonight. A lot going on in the sports world, as Defo likes to quote one of his mentors, the great Ron Harrison. Oh, what a game last night. I don't know about what a game last night, because none of the games were spectacular, but it is interesting. And Defo and I've talked about this a lot, the rivalries that aren't. Like Knicks Heat used to be a huge deal, and we've talked about that a lot. For me, it was a big deal, because I was in middle school right when the wars happened. Like when you had PJ Brown body slamming Charlie Ward, and you had Patrick Ewing, and you had John Starks, and you had Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson duking it out, where Jeff Van Gundy to this day, he's holding his leg still. That's when I grew up. So that was the thing. And my best friends, it was funny because there's always been like 4 or 5 of us, and we were like split. Like 3 of us were Knick fans and 2 of us were Heat fans. And we were brothers outside of this conversation, but once you would get into this conversation, it was a fucking war. Like, we hated each other. Ewing, Zoe, Ewing. So it sort of brought that rivalry to another level for us, because like we'd live and die by these games, and whoever won was a hero and whoever lost was a goat. Goat, like the animal, not goat, the great. So this rivalry used to mean a whole lot to me. It's funny now because, first of all, Defo and I have been talking about it. The NFL and college, I mean, just football in general is such a monster. Like, I remember growing up, like, year round, you'd pay attention to the other sports. You'd watch the one that's going on, but you'd pay attention. And then when multiple sports, hockey, basketball, and football were going on, you'd pay attention. Now, I don't give a shit about any sport except for football when football's on. Yes, when football's done, I move on to basketball. And then in the summer, I sort of pay attention to baseball, especially if the Marlins are good. But, like, now, basketball's been going on. The Heat, we're in South Florida. The Heat have been really good with a lot of injuries. And we barely talked about it. I pushed on Ethan Skolnick, who's covered the NBA for years and covered the Heat even longer. And it was only because I realized, oh shit, football's done like in a week. So we better move on to basketball. We're going to sort of be stuck there shrugging. But yes, the NBA season is on. Those of you who didn't know, the NHL season is even more quiet. We have our Panthers playing really well. I think they're still amongst the league leaders in points. The Miami Heat, it's funny, down here it's become like this crusade. Screw you, ESPN. You won't talk about the Heat. I mean, I don't care. Like, it feels like this group does better quiet. Like, this isn't LeBron and Wade and Bosh, where they're like the superstars of the superstar. And if they don't get attention, they go in the corner and sulk because they're used to it. Like, Jimmy Butler is a dude that went like end of the first round in the draft. Again, like Ethan told us yesterday, the Heat right now actively, until Victor Oladipo joins him, do not have a player that was drafted higher than 13. Meaning none of these players were really even lottery picks. Meaning all these players came into the league with chips on their shoulders, as they say. So I don't really like. I don't think they mind the lack of attention. Like the fans in Miami, we have this like ugly stepsister mentality because we're really a top 11 market, but they talk about us, and I say us because I'm born and raised in South Florida. They talk about us like we're a small market, which is literally an oxymoron. Like you can't be a top 11 market. And honestly, most people would rather be with us than rather be here than most of the top 10 markets. Like outside of it, LA, Chicago, and New York, South Florida is probably the next best market. Like I have, like my buddy is down here, does radio, and he was in Chicago. He's from Philly, which is one of those top 10 markets, and he was in LA, and he chose to be here. So we're really a top 5 market when you consider destination of desire to live and be. Yet when it comes to sports, I guess because of the Marlins and the Panthers, we're treated like we're small market. I mean, the Dolphins are one of the banner until the Marino left, one of the banner NFL franchises. The Heat have won since the mid-90s consistently, yet we're minor. So the Heat fan has this weird mentality this year. Well, we're not getting attention. First of all, no one is. If your name's not LeBron, no one gives a crap about the NBA. I mean, that's one. 2, good. Like the last time the Heat were good and got no attention, they found themselves in the finals. So as a fan, that's freaking phenomenal. And honestly, as we learned in sports, when football goes away, the other sports get to play. So that's really where we are. And again, look, today's Thursday. We talked every day this week about the NFL playoffs. Rightly so. Last weekend's NFL playoff action was historic. Last weekend's NFL playoff action was something no one's ever seen. And I'm not breaking down the one game by the other game. I don't know. Like, to say this one, they did the top games ever, and the Bills and the Chiefs. And to me, first of all, defense should be a little bit a part of the game. And that second half, there was no defense. On top of that, there's been so many games in so many eras. And the way that the era has been played is so different. To grade this game by that game, I don't know if the Bills Chiefs was the best game ever. I do know, and I feel very confident saying it was the best weekend ever. I mean, every game coming down to the last play of the game, you've never had in one weekend. You just haven't. And this weekend, I don't expect to live up to that. But it was amazing, and it was super cool to have. And I'm not going to lie, like buddies of mine that have sort of said, yeah, I don't really watch NFL like I used to, whatever, which isn't a lot of people. But a few of them all were talking about this weekend's action because it was mind-blowing. And in the end, you are in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals, the upstart. I mean, Joe Burrow is in his second year coming, and he missed like half the year, bad injury. Came back and is a monster this year with Jamar Chase, his fellow LSU Tiger, setting things ablaze. The guy the Dolphins wish they could have got. You have the Cincinnati Bengals heading to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are a 7.5 point favorite. Yes, this is the Defo show. I have to get some gambling in there, as Defo just to let me know he's boarded the plane to get on his way to Vegas. 7.5 point favorite, the Kansas City Chiefs. And in the NFC, you have the Los Angeles Rams. They are a 3.5 point favorite over the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of people are sort of mincing words to me. I mean, if we're breaking down the games, and again, the professor, Ken Jacobson, will be joining me shortly, and he will talk. Yes, we have him on to deal with college football. He is a college football guru. I mean, the dude's amazing with college football. But he knows his NFL, and he knows his NBA, and he's a huge college basketball fan. And he's always classic and funny and loves to push the envelope in directions I don't. So it's perfect. He's going to be joining me shortly this morning. But to me, the two games are pretty simple. I think I haven't given the Bengals a lot of credit because you had the injury with Joe Burrow. Their offensive line is dreadful, and the Titans demolished them. I mean, 9 sacks in a game shouldn't happen in Pee Wee, let alone in the NFL playoffs. But I didn't realize how good their defense was, and the defense has played much better, and their offense is legit. I mean, Jamar, and that's the thing. And we're out of Miami. This is the Defo show with the Lubie. here on the Ion channel. You can also check us out on 5 Reasons Sports Network, and we do an exclusive content podcast each and every day for the Believe Podcast Network After Hours. Just search After Hours on Believe.com. But like, we're out of South Florida, right? So I come with a South Florida point of view. But again, if you listen and watch us, we do a national show. We talk about everything going on. But it always comes back to the Dolphins when we talk about the young quarterbacks, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray, even a Wentz, like a Goff, all these guys who are younger-ish. Watson, who isn't playing. We always bring it back to Tua Tagovailoa. Why isn't he on their level? To me, he's not physically as gifted as those guys, especially Burrow and Herbert, hands down. But also, he doesn't have the talent around him. Yes, Burrow's offensive line, you can see, is dreadful. But his receivers aren't. Look, Jalen Waddle, and I'm going to be talking with Jalen Waddle. He's going to be featured on our Believe podcast next week. Dude was not a bust. Chris Greer, who I've very much, and ain't maligned, lamented, because it is deserved. But I've talked a lot of crap about Miami Dolphins GM Chris Greer, and I think it's deservedly so, has not been good in the draft. He's been okay. This year he hit almost as much as he missed, which for him is freaking rare. But Jalen Waddle, with the 6th overall pick, was not a bust. The dude set the NFL rookie reception record. He is an NFL all-rookie player. He might be possibly Pro Bowler. He is a good player. He's legit. He is a guy that should start for the Dolphins for years to come. He may make a few Pro Bowls. Is he Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase, as a rookie, is a top 5 NFL receiver, and some call him the best receiver, and then when people call him that, no one argues, because Jamar Chase is legit. He is just different. Like, Jalen Waddle gets the ball, gets some yards, gets down. Jamar Chase gets the ball, and he may be going for a touchdown on a 4-yard pass with 4 guys around him. Like, the dude is just different, and the Dolphins didn't get him. The Bengals did. The Bengals also have Tyler Boyd, who is a really good receiver, who on most teams will be a number 1. There's like a 3, and they have T. Higgins. So unlike Tua, which is bringing it back, where all of our conversations seem to come back to here in South Florida, who has no one. Jalen Waddle is like a 3rd receiver, maybe a 2. He's not a 1. And Devontae Parker's always hurt. And Preston Williams is always hurt. And Mac Hollins is a practice squad player who's been fine, and he's a special teamer, but he is not an NFL starting wide receiver. Like, the Miami Tua and his line is literally the worst graded line in all of the NFL. So that's why when I look at the other young guys, I don't say, oh, I wish the Dolphins had them. And I mean, look, Burrow or Herbert would look good in a Dolphin uniform. To me, I still don't know what Tua is, but I can't hate. Joe Burrow coming off that injury is a monster, and he's legit. And he is the guy we saw the last year at LSU, not his first few years in college between Ohio State and LSU. You know, like that last year where he set records. That's the guy we're seeing. The Cincinnati Bengals are a team I'm not giving enough credit to. That being said, I still feel like, look, the NFL isn't the NBA, right? Like, the NBA, it's always had this thing over the years where, like, the young teams need to sort of scratch and claw, get experience, and then eventually they can break through and become a title contender and win a title. Like, even the Warriors, that first year, I think Steph got hurt, but they also were like a 6 seed, and they challenged the Spurs. But it took to the next year to really be a title contender. I don't know if the NFL works that way. Like, you'll see a Panthers come out of nowhere and make it to a Super Bowl. Like, you see that the Patriots with a young Brady, who was a 6th-round pick, go and make it to a Super Bowl. Teams come out of nowhere. I just don't know if the Bengals are that team. Like, I think the fact that the Bengals not only got to a playoffs, but now won 2 games is spectacular. I don't know if they're necessarily going to rest on their laurels per se, but I also don't know if they're like as hungry as a Chiefs. Because what's funny is the Chiefs have won, but the Chiefs are getting more crap this year than they've ever gotten. They were in the Super Bowl last year. This is now their 4th straight year with Patrick Mahomes in the AFC title game. Patrick Mahomes is, if not the best quarterback, top 3 quarterback each and every year. Top 5 or so MVP candidate each and every year. And people halfway through the year wrote off the Kansas City Chiefs. So to me, as much as the Bengals are fun, the Chiefs at home have been under covered in a way and disrespected in a way that I really think the Chiefs are going to have fun in this game. Like, 7.5 is actually a big spread, especially for an AFC Championship game. And I think the Chiefs have that easy. Now, like Defo would say, so bet everything you have on the Bengals. That might be true. But I feel really confident in the Chiefs this weekend. Like, the defense is a sieve at the end of games. Openly admit it. But it's much better the first, 2.5 to 3 quarters, which is an improvement. And Josh Allen, the gunslinger, isn't out there. Burrow is gunslinger-esque, but I don't know if he's there ready to take out the Chiefs. Look at the NFC. Now, again, those of you who are tuning in and are like, what the hell, where's Defo? As we've talked about the last few days, Defo, the last couple of weeks, Defo, like a kid in a candy store, is now on a flight out to Vegas. Our friend, the man whose name should not be mentioned, Evan, don't mention my name, won a handicapping tournament a couple years ago at Hialeah Park, where they have great fights tomorrow night. So we'll talk more about that with Dave Gurgles Gurgly at 8:15 when we do the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Evan, don't mention my name, won a handicapping tournament a couple years ago at Hialeah Park. Last year, they didn't hold the championships in Vegas because of COVID. Yeah, COVID still is here, but it's different. At least we have vaccines and boosters and whatnot. So they're holding it this year. Defo and Jersey stole away in the luggage and are headed with, Evan, don't mention my name, out to Vegas till Monday for this handicapping tournament. So you are stuck with me. Yay. So good morning, one and all. This is the Defo Show with Lubie here on the ION channel. We do this each and every day from 7 to 9 a.m. Coming up shortly, the one and only Professor will be joining me. He said he would. Now, the Professor is a night owl, whereas I have to be up at ungodly hours between 4 and 5 in the morning. The Professor does not. So getting him up before 8 is fun. He may be up. He may not. I don't know. He's supposed to join me between 7:20 and 7:30. We'll see. At 8:15, a man who is a morning, whatever the hell the expression is, man who's up and at him in the morning, the one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgly will join me at 8:15, and we will do the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. So get ready for that because it's going to be fun. As you can tell, I'm hosting, producing, call screener, musical director, everything today. So if you call, and again, we want your calls, that's amazing. While talking, can't answer. So don't get frustrated. Just give me a second. I'll call you back in the break, and we'll get you on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, where we do give away a $25 gift certificate to the one and only Landlubbers, a place again. I'm each and every Thursday night for some free trivia action that starts about 6:30. I'm breaking down the NFL playoff games, whether you want or you don't. I know you're listening because it's so funny because you see these rankings come out, power rankings, and I think they're totally stupid. I've been around Defo and my buddy Ken long enough to mock them, but I'm not gonna lie, I'll look at them. I always at least look. I don't know if I give weight to them, but I always look. So when someone starts talking playoffs, even if they're a moron, I'll listen a little. So hopefully you're at least listening a little. And you can always find us. Just Google the Defo Show. And also, if you want to hear us on audio, defoandlubie.com/live. NFL playoffs, NFC, AFC title game is this Sunday. It's going to be interesting for me because it is my wife's, Shirley. It is her birthday next Wednesday. But as you know, and I'm not making fun of people because I do it, you get at least a week. When you're young, it's like a month, I guess. But, the older you get, you want less time. But you get at least a week. So because it's next Wednesday, we start celebrating it Friday. I think Friday. I don't know. At least Saturday. She has a whole day of things we're doing. We're going in a boat. It's going to be the coldest weekend of the year in South Florida. And I know around the country you're like 40s. That's cold. Yes, that's fucking cold for us. It gets to 60s. And that's not a joke. People really pull out the overcoat and Uggs. That really happens. It's supposed to be high 30s and 40s during the day in South Florida, Sunday and some Saturday. And we're going on a boat around Fort Lauderdale, jacuzzi. This is the thing we're doing. We're doing this. We're going to be in a swimming suit in 30-degree weather. So polar bears, Lubie's going to be with you this weekend because this is what my wife has chosen to do for her birthday. I love her and I'm excited. I'm really excited. So doing that Saturday, and then Saturday night, we'll be going to dinner with my family, and then Sunday we'll be with her family. And what's interesting is her dad is they're Dominican. So they love sports, but it's different than me. My dad will literally call me 4 times a day to check in with me about the sports teams, even though nothing's happened. They watch sports, everyone but my wife. She has no interest in sports. They'll watch sports, but they don't really talk about it. But what's interesting is, whereas my life is talking sports, my wife doesn't give a shit. So it's fun to like watch on my phone. And it's not a joke. Like Tony and Defo have made fun of me. I don't see her during the week ever. So the weekends are really my only time with her. So yes, half the time, if we're watching our show and there's a game on, I'll have to watch it on my phone. And that's fun. So her dad actually is worse than me, because the only thing he's really into is the NFL. And her mom actually respects that. Unlike Shirley, who doesn't give a damn about me and sports. So he actually like will tune everything out on NFL weekends and just watch NFL. So it's going to be interesting for us to Sunday get with her family, because Sunday is the NFL game. So I'm going to do my best to keep tabs on those games, because again, Monday I'm in this chair without Defo. And I presume we're going to be talking a lot about the AFC and the NFC title game again. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. That is a 7.5 point line. I would lay the points. I think the Chiefs are going to win that one easy. And then moving over to the NFC, you have the Los Angeles Rams hosting the San Francisco 49ers. They played a few weeks ago. The Rams, before last week, this was the first time they had a meltdown. We're up 17-0 into the third and lost that game. So who knows what happens? That's a 3.5 point line. I'm more iffy about that game. I think the Rams will win. I think they'll cover. I don't know by how much. I can't lie to you. What happened last weekend with the Rams totally freaked me out. Like, anyone who's followed us over the years knows I can't stand Tom Brady and the Patriots. I'm a Dolphin fan. So I was as big a Rams fan as anyone last week. And I actually, when they were up 27-3, I was overjoyed. I literally was watching, like, so happy. And my wife's like, "What's wrong with you? The game's over." I'm like, first of all, don't say that. Second, thank goodness. I'm going to enjoy every minute of this. Tom Brady getting pasted, that's a win. So, of course, when the Rams did literally everything possible to lose that game, like everything. I mean, I've never seen, when you're, okay, so you fumble it, Cooper Kupp fumbles, but then you get the fumble back, right? Like, or no, they scored a touchdown, 14 points. They had a miscue, but you get the ball back. Von Miller comes around, gets a fumble recovery at the 25. You're up 2 scores at that point. At the 25, okay, with 9 minutes left. Run the ball. That's it. Just run it. They're not going to use timeouts. You can use 2 to 3 minutes off the clock, get it down to 6 minutes. Even if you get a field goal, you're up 3 scores with like 5-6 minutes left. Their defense was playing lights out. The Bucs couldn't move the ball. Bucs couldn't score. You're good. So what does Sean McVay do? Shotgun. Like, I don't. We had Jason Cole on the other day, and he said the same thing I was saying. Like, I'm watching the game in real time, not Monday morning quarterbacking, watching in real time, going. And my wife, I'm like, what are they doing? I mean, of course, my wife doesn't give a shit, but you have to talk to someone or you're just crazy. So I'm like, what are they doing? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, why would you be in the shotgun? Like, just run. McVay, I know you and Shanahan are buddies and you wish to give away games. Just run. No, they go shotgun. What happens? Stafford's yelling directions out to nobody, and the ball snap goes into the Bucs territory. Goes into the Rams territory. Bucs get it, go and get a touchdown on like the 4th play, because of course Jalen Ramsey, who's top 3 corner in the league, decides to play off Mike Evans instead of physically on him, which is what his strong suit is. Mike Evans goes down, gets an easy touchdown, and it's a 1-score game. Also in there was the Rams missing a 47-yard field goal short. That I've never seen. Like, NFL kickers miss kicks of all lengths, wide right, wide left. If it's 60 yards, they'll go short. If it's 47 and clean weather, you don't go short. So the Rams, whether point shaving was happening, which I believe, Defo believes, the Rams did everything they could in that game to give that game away. They did win. Matt Stafford. That's the funny. The reason I haven't been confident in the Rams is Matt Stafford, right? Like, Matt Stafford is a guy with strong arm, puts up stats. But whether Detroit or even this year with the Rams, has a penchant to make a stupid-ass interception. That's it. Maybe 2. That's his thing. So I was like, eventually Matt Stafford's going to Stafford. He actually didn't. Of all the ridiculous things that happened in that game, none of them were really Stafford's fault. Stafford is the one that, when the ship was sinking, with 42 seconds left, threw 2 darts to Cooper Kupp, a guy who's probably a top 3 receiver and no one even knows his name in the NFL. Had one of the greatest receiving years statistically ever this year. Gets them in field goal range in less than 42 seconds. They kick the field goal. They win the game. Stafford is actually standing like the hero. So good for him. To me, the Rams freak me out, but I think 3.5, they're at home. Well, who knows if they're at home? The Los Angeles teams don't really get a great home field advantage. The Niners are probably, especially since it's in California, the Niners probably will have more fans there. However, I still lean Rams in that game. Like, if I was to put a bet down, I'd probably put it more on the Chiefs if like you needed action, because I wouldn't touch either of these games. I think they're going to be close and they're going to be good games. I just think the Chiefs and the Rams will win and cover in the end. If I was going to bet, I would put money on the Chiefs and just leave, because you don't know what the Rams, like McVay has this desire to give games away. Like, I don't know what the hell's wrong with him. He wants to be the smartest guy in the room so much that even when he's already the smartest guy, it's not enough for him. Like, they were up by 24. You're the smartest guy. No, I'm going to go shotgun in their territory when all we need is points and to run clock. Yeah, there you go. So because of that, I don't know. And look, Kyle Shanahan's the same thing. Like, the dude is giving away a Super Bowl. He's giving away 2 Super Bowls, actually. I mean, 28-3 as that Falcons offensive coordinator, with the amount of time that was on the clock, if you just ran clock, you would have won that game going away. Instead, they lose in overtime to the Patriots. As a Niners head coach a couple years ago, again, the Niners had a lead, just need to run, and over the Chiefs. The Chiefs were doing nothing. Their defense was dominating. Jimmy Garoppolo throws a stupid-ass interception, and then the Chiefs go on like a 17-0 run, and Shanahan loses. So, I mean, it is an interesting matchup at coach because they're 2 highly heralded guys, 2 offensive geniuses, but because of that, they don't know when to tap out and say, okay, offense, let's just be conservative. Let's take a page out of Tony Sparano's and Dave Wanstead's playbook, and let's just run and settle for a field goal, because it's almost mathematically impossible for them to beat us. I still would lean McVay, because Shanahan's done it on a historic level. They're giving games away, and I would lean Chiefs. NBA last night, the Miami Heat, as we talked about, are the number 1 seed in the NBA's Eastern Conference. ESPN may not know that, and that's okay with me. Again, I'm happy. This team has stars, has guys that possibly could be superstars, but none of them, outside of Hero and his outfits, play like it. Like, they want to just play. Jimmy Butler literally just wants to win. And PJ Tucker's the same thing. Kyle Lowry's the same thing. Robinson's the same thing. Hero, I think after last year, having the sophomore slump, because it seems like he felt himself a little bit, seems to have geared it back a little bit, is ready to just play. I think this team's okay with not getting the attention. I think Spoelstra is a top 3, if not, at this point, the best coach in the NBA. Like, he sort of relishes any angle he can use to motivate his team. So the Heat being number 1 and getting no attention, at least for me as a fan, is fine. They demolished the Knicks last night, which is sort of sad because I think most of us didn't even know that game was going on. I mean, we're in the second half, numbers-wise, of the NBA season. The Knicks were a rival. The Knicks were in the playoffs last year. The Knicks came in with some positive momentum this year, and no one I knew paid attention to that game. And there was no other major sports going on, so you should have. But I know the Heat jumped out to a lead. They managed it, and they won. And they're still a half game up of the Chicago Bulls in the Eastern Conference standings. I know we still have like 2 months or 2.5 months of NBA regular season, so the standings only matter so much. But you are after the halfway point, so if you're the Heat, you haven't had your top 4 players together for more than 11 games. That's impressive. The Lakers are a disaster. The Grizzlies are a 3 seed. The Cavs are a 3 seed. The Nets are fine, but more issues with Harden, and there's always issues with Irving, and Durant's out. The NBA is weird. And in about 2 weeks, when the NFL season ends, we're going to focus on it, and people are going to go, what the hell? But we will focus more on the NBA here in the coming days. When we get back, I'm hoping to have the one and only Professor Ken Jacobson. Defo loves, and I do too. I mean, Frankie Fiore, the man who makes everything happen at Hialeah Park. This is a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge Thursday. We will have Dave Gurgly on at 8:15. He will man it. And, I will man the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, but he'll really do the tough sledding. And hopefully the professor will be with me, and he'll help out with that as well. Hialeah Park, a place we know and love. It's a play. Look, like I've talked about my wife here on the show, Defo has. She's a tough cookie, as they say. She's very strong-willed, very independent, and she's Dominican, as I've said. So she's very, not to be stereotypical. I mean, she is very outspoken, how she feels about things, and she's not quiet, again, with how she feels about things. And she's not a simple win, right? Like, if she likes what you're doing in any area of the world, you're doing something right. She loves Hialeah Park. I've taken her there a couple times. There's nothing like it. The grounds, it makes you feel like you're in the old school horse racing days with a modern feel. The food's amazing. You actually can win there. Who knew? Like, you go and play the slots, you have a chance of winning, which is not always the case at some casinos. But Hialeah Park, always a great place to go. This Friday, especially because you have the fights. Louis DeCubis, who put these together, will be joining us tomorrow at 7:20. Go to HialeahPark.com to get tickets. I don't know if they're sold out. They may be sold out, but it's worth a shot. HialeahPark.com to check out the fights tomorrow night, January 28th. Been there 2 or 3 times when they've done fights. What's cool is they do it outside. And I get it with Florida. You never know. Well, this weekend the weather's supposed to be gorgeous. And you're under overhang. It's not like you're just out there if it drizzles. But it's not like in the stuffy room, right? Because, like, boxing's attached to cigar smoking, cigarettes. Nowadays, most places don't let you smoke cigs in the building. But still, in a building, there's nothing wrong with watching fights or a game. I love it. It's a great experience. But there's something to be said for, like, the outside. And where you are in Hialeah, you get to see the stars. And it's, like, really cool. And Frank Fiore really puts on a show. Tomorrow night, Hialeah Park. Again, HialeahPark.com for the fights. January 28th. You definitely don't want to miss it. It's always a great time. And really, if you have any free time tomorrow, that's where you should definitely check out. At 8:15, we will do the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. The one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgley will join me. The Professor Ken Jacobson is supposed to be joining me. We will see. Coming up next, more of me. Yes, Defo has boarded the plane. Defo has boarded the plane, is on his way. Viva Las Vegas. I will not try to sing anymore because my singing is dreadful. But Defo is on his way to Vegas. I've warned him. Again, I talked to him more. I give him credit. He's like, I wouldn't say proud papa. He's a father, and he's a good father, but Defo's like the uncle. I don't want to say dirty uncle, but like Defo's like the uncle that doesn't necessarily get you into trouble, but he doesn't stop you from doing the things that may get you in trouble. Defo has been like, I've never talked to Defo. I started the show off by saying that so much as I did this morning. Like, he texted me like 5 times. I don't know if he was nervous. I don't know. I've done this before, first of all, because we've done a show for 12 years. And when things would crap out, I'd be there. So I would just host. So it's nothing new. But it's, I guess, my first time in this with video, doing it by myself. But I give him credit for being, I guess, nervous or proud or anxious or excited for me. Talked to him like 7 times this morning. Like, literally, again, I don't talk to Defo from the moment the show ends to the next show at all. I call him, I'll text him. It goes into the ether. Like, you can't expect a response from Defo. He's Defo. So he's in his own world most of the time, if not at least half the time. So I don't expect to hear from Defo. I've gotten used to that. Like, again, in life, you accept people for who they are. I don't expect to hear from him. So the fact that I heard from him like 7 times this morning alone, you know, he's fine. He let me know he boarded. He's on his way to Vegas. He should have a great time. We're going to have a great time. Coming up next, hopefully the professor will be joining me. If not, we'll move into a little bit more Hall of Fame talk. Yesterday, you got to hear my vitriol. It's so funny because we like baseball around here, and we'll talk about it, but because baseball sort of become like the 3rd or 4th major sport in America, I don't even know where it stands anymore. We don't talk so much about it here, except for when there's like a vote of some kind that we're pissed about. And we did that yesterday. I was not happy with how the Hall of Fame vote went. I'll talk more about that. The professor, whenever he joins us, as you know, he has a very strong anti-Boston bias. So the fact that the Boston guy got in and the 2 guys that had better careers statistically did not get in, did not sit well with him. So we'll let him vent here. We'll also talk about the Miami Dolphins head coaching search. It seems like they have a favorite. It's the guy that was tied for my favorite. Will they finally make a move on their supposed favorite, or will they keep twiddling their thumbs, as the Dolphins tend to do, when it seems like a decent candidate's out there? We'll talk more about that, NFL playoffs, have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We'll have it all right here on the Defo Show with Lubie on the Ion channel. Be back right after this. These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup, All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Hey, it's Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet here for my friends over at Shenanigans Sports Pub. It's a great place to go to take in a game, a good meal, and a couple of drinks. My friend Patrick, he's been doing it a long time, and he's got 2 locations. West side is right across from TY Park in Hollywood. And then the east side location is at 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Shenanigans is the place for wings, burgers, barbecue, fresh fish, anything you want, drink specials, late night dining, outdoor dining. It is the place to go, family friendly. Go to Shenanigans and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by asleep, to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about except
Gambling.
to hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the Defo Show with Lubie. It's more like Lubie without Defo today, as Defo has made his way to Las Vegas, a city that literally, he said he would turn down going to his best friend's wedding over keeping a trip to Vegas. Good for him. You see, the funny thing with I like Vegas. Like Vegas, there's nothing like Vegas. Like the lights, the strip, downtown, it's amazing. The what they do with hotels. No one does anything like that with any buildings here in America. Like overseas, you see these buildings that are ridiculous. Like here, buildings are sort of outside of DC, just built, or New York, just buildings. No, Vegas, the hotels are freaking ridiculous. If you've never been to Vegas, it's worth going to. I just don't hold Vegas in my heart the way Defo does. Like I dabble in gambling. Like it's not my thing. Just to be at the sports book. Look, the sports book's actually pretty cool. If you're a sports fan, You're literally surrounded by like, it's not just dudes because there's women, people that love sports. And usually, unless you have opposing bets, they're really friendly. You meet people, you're bullshitting, you're watching the games. Like you could be, there's no clocks, there's no light. So you could be, and if it's a full day of action, you could be there all day without even knowing what the hell's going on. So the sports books are pretty cool, don't get me wrong. But like the shows are ridiculous and everything's nuts expensive, and it's all centered around gambling for the most part. And I'm not a big gambler. So again, Vegas is cool. Been there 2 or 3 times. Enjoy it. Defo lives for it. He's on his way there now. He'll be there till Monday. I'll be here solo, dolo, sorta. At 8:15, we'll be doing the Highly Park Trivia Challenge. The one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgley should be joining me at 8:15. The Professor Ken Jacobson was supposed to join me like at 7:20 to 7:30. That has not happened. Again, like I alluded to, he is a night owl, and he gets up early sometimes when he needs to, but it's not his norm. Like I'm up at 5 to 4:30 to 5 every day. Ken is not. The professor's up probably 9, 10. 8. I mean, the dude does his own. He's a money man. He owns a restaurant. Ken's a bon vivant, a Renaissance man. He's all over. He does radio. He does everything. So he's all over the place. So he has not joined me. He's supposed to. He's supposed to come in. He wants to rail against the Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame voting, and also help me with the trivia challenge with Gurgles. We'll see if that happens. Right now, you just got me. Again, each and every day, you can check us out Monday through Friday, 7 to 9. Just Google the Defo Show. Also, if you want to check us out on the stream, you're driving and there's no need for video. Defo and Lubie, LUBIE.com/live to get out our tuner. At Defo Show, at Lubie Wins on Twitter, also on Instagram at Lubie. Sorry, at Lubie on Air. Lubie Wins. At Lubie on Air on Twitter and Instagram. We've talked, Defo does that, and I always think it's funny when he's talking about himself. I, singular, myself, have talked a lot about the NFL playoffs as we did last week, and I touched on the NBA. It's funny, the Heat is our central focus down here, but what's interesting is what's going on in the rest of the league. Like, it's actually annoying to me as a Heat fan that Anthony Davis has been hurt his entire career, except for the 1 year that the Heat faced the Lakers in the finals. That's the year the Heat lose everybody, and Anthony Davis is healthy the whole finals and dunking on people. So Anthony Davis has been hurt most of the year, as he has his whole career, and the Lakers are struggling. The Lakers are the 9th seed. Like, if you haven't paid, because it's football season, right? And that like takes everything. That takes over everything in America. So if you haven't looked at the NBA standings, funny thing is, I love the NBA like I do, even the regular season. I keep an eye on it. I didn't know the standings. Like, I knew the Grizzlies were okay and the Cavs were okay and the Lakers were struggling. Today, doing this, I was like, let me look at the standings. Let me know what the standings are. That's like a big old school thing, the standings and the box score. I mean, we don't really run down standings in 2022 now. Like, you can just look on your phone. But I was like, let me look at it. I've heard about the Grizzlies. They're playing well. The standings are freaking weird. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, if you knew about the NBA coming into this season, had watched no NBA, and now because there's only the conference title games and the finals are like, let me peek at the NBA, you would be totally confused to look at the standings. The Lakers are out of it. The Thunder are out of it. The Mavs are near the end, and the Grizzlies are the 3 seed. Now the Suns who are in the finals are the number 1. The Warriors, who have been horrible the last 2 years, have found their groove and are the 2 seed. And the Lakers, again, are the 9 seed. The Lakers are the 9 seed. The Lakers. LeBron's played. He's played at an MVP level. They're the 9 seed. They've been the Russell Westbrook move, which most of us who know anything about basketball thought it was an utterly ridiculous move. Even in their prime, I don't know how that works, and Westbrook's not in his prime. LeBron he's had the longest prime in history. Like, he's still putting up the same stats, but at like 80. Westbrook isn't. And the older you get, what allows you to stay in the league is shooting, right? Like, Jason Kidd was a horrible shooter when he was young. He's a great facilitator. But if you notice, especially if you're a Heat fan, in that finals in 2010, Jason Kidd was a great three-point shooter. Like, the older you get, like, your athleticism goes, so you have to get better at other things. As a pitcher, the older you get, you lose something on your fastball, so you have to become a pitcher, not a thrower. So in basketball, like, Michael Jordan Kobe Bryant were able to sustain success later in their career as athleticism scaled down, their shot was good, right? Well, Westbrook can't shoot to save his life. Like, his shooting's atrocious. So he's still, and his athleticism still there to a certain extent, but he's not the same dude. And he and LeBron don't work. Like, LeBron, for whatever you want to say about him, needs the ball in his hands. He's never gotten away from that. LeBron, even with the Heat with Wade, that's why it worked, was Wade said, screw it, played off the ball. Bosh played off the ball. Everyone played off the ball. LeBron had the ball in his hands. That's Westbrook. The dude can't shoot, and he needs the ball in his hands. Let me think. Like, how you knew that wasn't going to work. Anyone that knew basketball was like, okay. Like, when people were like singing their praises, I was like, look, I think they'll be okay if Davis stays healthy because they have talent. But I take probably the Suns over them. I take it because it's addition by it's subtraction by addition. Like, you're adding Westbrook, and you got rid of all these pieces that are now succeeding. Every young guy, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Kuzma, all these young guys they got rid of are kicking ass everywhere else. And the guys they brought in, all the old farts, Kendrick Nunn is older, always hurt here, always hurt there. Malik Monk was a big signing, has been for them. Westbrook has been to the point where they took him out of the starting lineup because he's so like, and he doesn't work with LeBron at all. So the Lakers are the 9th seed, which I still thought they'd make the playoffs and contend. That floors my mind. If you look on the Eastern Conference, it is even more befuddling. Yes, you have the Nets around the top 3. You have the defending champion Bucks around the top 3. But the Bulls, and they made a lot of moves, and I thought they were interesting moves, getting Ball, who had a much better year last year. You get DeRozan, who's always been a great scorer, not a great all-around player, but a great scorer, not even a great shooter, but a great scorer. Had an interesting young core in Chicago. So I thought they'd be like a 5-6 seed. No, they've been flirting with the 1 to 3 seed like the whole year. They're playing great basketball. Are the 2 seed right now. The Heat, who I thought were like a 4 or 5 seed, are the 1 seed. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, no, again, LeBron's in LA. The Cleveland Cavaliers finally drafted pretty well. Darius Garland is, by most people's estimation, an all-star. Colin Sexton's become a really good point guard. Kevin Love is actually there playing basketball and helping. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the 3 seed. Like, I don't know what the hell to do with that. That's weird. So everything's a little topsy-turvy in the NBA. So those of you, again, I'm only going through the standings. Those of you who just came in, not because it's 1980 and we're just going through standings, because I haven't looked at the standings the entire year. I've been, again, like most of you, focused on football. Oh, basketball is going on. Yay, hockey, yay. No, football is what I give a shit about. Today I looked at the standings and it blew my mind. Like, I didn't understand, like, oh, and the Grizzlies are the 3 seed in the West. And I get it. I've seen they've gone on this 8-game win streak, and that 6-game win streak. And John Morant, is he a superstar now? Is he better than Luka? Is he better than Trae Young? Sure. I mean, but I thought that was just bullshit. No, the Grizzlies are really good, and they're a 3 seed in the West. And the West is still competitive. So I check on the NBA. Like, I don't know if you want to watch the game just yet, because we still have conference title games in football, and we have the Super Bowl coming up a couple weeks from this Sunday. But I will say it's topsy-turvy. In a league that we always say is chalk. It is as wide open as we've ever seen in the NBA this year. Like, the Warriors are really good, but it's not an automatic. The Suns are really good, but they're not an automatic. And in the East, I mean, I love the Heat. They're not. The Nets are a disaster with injuries, and the Bucks have lost a lot. They're not bad, but they're not the same team. The NBA is wide open. So there's your NBA Minute with Lubie. I know you want to hear more about the NFL playoffs, and I did my breakdown. Look, point blank, and again, Defo, if he was here, would say go the other way. That might be the smart move for you. I haven't been hitting at 1,000, that's for sure. The Chiefs, to me, again, I thought last week would be more convincing, but they won. Whatever their overtime rules are, both defenses sucked. The last offense that got it would win. The last offense that got it did win. The Chiefs won, and their offense is back to rolling, and their defense is better. It's not good in the end game. Defo said that all year. I poo-pooed it. He was right. Fourth quarter, their defense is utterly dreadful, but it's better in the first 3 quarters than it's been. So to me, that's an upgrade over a young Bengals team. 7.5 is a lot for a conference title game, but I think the Chiefs have enough, and I think they want to shut. It's so funny for a team that's been to 4 straight AFC title games with this quarterback. to have to shut people up. But like the Chiefs have been forgotten. I mean, everyone, the world was all on the Buffalo Bills to be in the Super Bowl, let alone the conference title game. So they were just going to dispatch of the Chiefs. That didn't happen. The Chiefs, it's rare for a team that's won this much. They've won a Super Bowl. They've been to 2. They've been to 4 straight AFC title games. A team to have this much success to still have a chip on their shoulder usually doesn't happen. So when it does, most coaches jump on that. The Chiefs are sort of allowed to have a chip because most of the sports world wrote them off. A team that good with a chip, that's a scary combination. So I think the Chiefs will win, and I think they'll cover. NFC is a little bit tougher for me. I think the Rams win. I do. I think they're good enough to win that game. I don't know if they'll cover, and I don't know how confident you'll be in their win. Because last week they had a 24-point lead with 4 minutes left in the third. Their defense was playing dominant. Tom Brady looked like those giant Super Bowls where he was scared to death because Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller was wreaking havoc on Tom Brady. And still, the Rams found a way to hand over the 24-point lead and have to have a miraculous 42-second left victory with Matt Stafford to Cooper Kupp, to the kicker. So I think the Rams do it. I would not be confident in it. Not going to lie. Again, like I said before, I think the Chiefs would be the safer bet. If you're betting people, that's a safer bet. Talked on it yesterday. Maybe I'll talk with Gurgles a little bit about it. Dave Gurgles Gurgley will be joining us at 8:15 for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I don't understand the Major League Baseball voting. Like, I actually hated Barry Bonds. Like, I've always been a guy that weirdly hated the great players who seemed cocky. I hated Michael Jordan. I hated Kobe Bryant. And I hated Giants Barry Bonds. I liked Pittsburgh Pirates, the skinny Barry Bonds. Once he became jacked and seemed like a total douche. Because it's funny, when he was with the Pirates, he wasn't. Like, he did interviews and he was a young kid, like Griffey Jr., they always called him, was always happy and young. Bonds was with the Pirates. Like, those that remember Barry Bonds, young Barry Bonds, skinny Barry Bonds, who was like stolen base guy, played great field, could hit but didn't hit for really any power. That guy was nice. He went to San Francisco, started using substances, got real bitter about the success of McGuire and Sosa, even though he was a better all-around player. He became a jerk, and I did not like him as a baseball fan. Roger Clemens, a guy that I hated the Yankees. So obviously I hated the guy that was racking up Cy Youngs with the Yankees late in his career. Hated him. However, I've grown up and I realize when it comes to PED, steroids, whatever the hell you want to call it, either everyone was using it or we don't know who wasn't using it, right? Like, you have no idea who was using it. Both pitchers, hitters were using it. Your size didn't matter. Skinny dudes were using it. People we loved use it. People we hated use it. Like, across the board, people were using performance enhancers. So to me, look, you don't have to put them in. I'm okay with you not putting them in. Cheating's bad. Okay, even if it wasn't against the rules, if you could tell, cool. My problem is once you start putting people in that have speculation, rumors, and David Ortiz who failed the test, then you got to put them all in. You can't, like, this hypocrisy of picking and choosing. Well, he was sweet to me. He was a meanie. What? What are you, 4? Like, it shouldn't be a popularity contest. Life is a popularity contest. Advertising, popularity contest. Making money, power, a lot of time, popularity contest. Our presidential elections, sadly, popularity contest. Going into the Hall of Fame is purely statistically based. Like, that's it. Like, your personality, unless you broke the laws of the game and got suspended, I can see you not going in for that. But if you didn't break any rules, which Bonds and Clemens didn't, and even Ortiz didn't break a rule, he failed a test that wasn't supposed to count, we weren't supposed to know about it, then you should get in. Like, well, you were, especially Jeff Bagwell. I'm sorry. Look at Jeff Bagwell, young and old. The dude did roids. Like, I mean, and I'm not mad at him for it. I don't give a crap. Like, we found out almost at least 70 to 80% of the players from the 80s, 90s, 2000s were using steroids. We're using something that probably wasn't good for them or wasn't legal or wasn't within the rules of the game. So who am I to cast aspersions? I don't understand the writers, old or new, picking players into the Hall based on their politeness, their charisma. Like I didn't know that was what, like on the ballot. I'd love to see a ballot. Like on the ballot, does it say he was nice, he was mean, he bought me things, he didn't buy me things, he did interviews? Like, what does their ballot look like? Because to me, I thought it was just names. Like, I didn't think it broke it down in categories of sweet and mean. If it doesn't, which I don't think it does, then how can you vote people into to a museum for baseball greatness or sports greatness based on how they treated the media? And the media's done it for years. Ted Williams wasn't a unanimous Hall of Famer, and the dude is a top 3 hitter and arguably the best hitter ever. And he missed like 5 or 6 years of his career in his prime, so he probably could be the home run leader and best hitter ever. And was a solid fielder. He didn't suck in the field, Ted Williams. And he wasn't a unanimous Hall of Famer. Someone voted against him into the Hall of Fame because he supposedly was ornery. Like, I know sports does it. Baseball does it more than anyone. I've never gotten it. This I get the least. Like, Ortiz was nice, cool. He did win. He hit on the big stage. I think he's Hall of Famer. But he sucked in Minnesota. He looked very different in Minnesota. Everything you'd say about Bonds, except for the fact that Bonds never sucked. Bonds was always a top 5 or 6 player in baseball his entire career, whether he was big or small. David Ortiz wasn't. David Ortiz was average to bad in Minnesota. Goes to Boston right around the time that he got popped for that test. Yeah, he says, I never failed again. Bonds never failed. Lance Armstrong never failed. Like, just because you never failed doesn't mean you didn't use it. Sorry. And I'm not a reporter. So anyone who's listening, well, you're not stating facts, you know. I'm entertainer. Like, whether I'm entertaining, that's up for debate. But I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. Like, you're not supposed to just throw shit out there. But you can use logic. The dude, if he did get popped and then never got smaller again and was a totally different dude, I don't feel bad thinking, I won't assume, thinking he was on performance-enhancing drugs, David Ortiz, when he ascended to become a 10-time All-Star and 3-time World Series champion and a major cog in all 3 of those World Series championships for the Boston Red Sox. He's Hall of Famer still. I'll give him that. But then how is Barry Bonds, who didn't fail a test? How is Roger Clemens, who didn't fail a test, not in the Hall of Fame? It's funny. We haven't spent this much time on baseball in like years, and we probably won't again after this week. It's just weird to me. Like, and some baseball fans are like, yeah, this is great. It's getting us attention. I mean, I get it. The old public relations saying any news is any attention is good attention. I mean, that's not exactly true, because it just makes me believe in the game less and less and less. A game that's already in the middle of a lockout, even though no one watches. The numbers have dramatically dropped. They're in the middle of a lockout, and then you're not going to give, like, you're putting one dude in that's worse than the other 2 guys. Don't get that one at all. But this is the Defo Show with Lubie. Defo is on his way to Las Vegas. Coming up at 8:15, we'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge tomorrow night, talking about Hialeah Park. You have the fights at Hialeah Park, thanks to our dear friend, Mr. Event. I don't want to say planner, Mr. Event himself, the one and only Frank Fiore, who the man behind everything that happens at Hialeah Park. Great card of fights tomorrow night. We will talk with Louis DeCubis, who was a man behind putting this card together. He will break down the card a little bit more. He'll talk a little bit more about the boxing. I'm a big boxing fan, but, you know, I'm not as into it as Louis DeCubis. So we'll have him come on tomorrow about 7:20, and he'll talk about the card itself. And then we will also tomorrow, Grant Long, the one on Grant Long, will join me at 7:35, talk about NBA. As we did touch on the NBA a lot this morning, the NFL playoffs talked about a lot as well. Miami Dolphins head coaching search continues. They supposedly have their favorite. It's a guy that's in my top 3, Brian Daboll. What bothers me is it's a guy that supposedly is the Giants' favorite too. So if you're the Dolphins, to me, hire him and stop messing around. We'll see what happens there. It's with Stephen Ross. You never know. And Chris Greer still at the GM helm. You never know with that organization these days. We'll see what happens there. Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll see who wins the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurgles Gurgley will join me. You can get in on the action, 954-417-0070. And again, I am a man unto himself this morning. So if you call, you can. I'd love for you to call. I may not answer. Not going to lie. As you can see, I'm running everything and doing the talking. So answering the phone, I can do physically. It just won't come out good on air. So we'll have to wait to the break to get you on the line. but I promise we will do that. So definitely stand by, stay tuned. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we will have your Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Also want to talk about Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill of Key Largo. It's funny because I'd heard about it for years. I've heard about Jimmy Johnson for years, even though I'm a Dolphin fan and a Florida State fan. I always had a soft spot for the Canes. My grandfather went there. My grandmother worked there every weekend from age like 4 to I started working 14. We were down at UM swimming in the pool. I was in the student union with my grandfather watching college football. Like I lived at UM's campus. So I always had a soft spot for UM. And my dad grew up, because the Dolphins were in existence when he was little, a Cowboy fan. So like when Jimmy Johnson was with the Cowboys and the Dolphins were good, but not great, I rooted for the Cowboys hardcore. Like I loved that team until Jerry Jones was a dumbass and got rid of Jimmy Johnson. And then I hated the Cowboys and hated Jerry Jones, but was always a big Jimmy Johnson fan. And then he came to the Dolphins and actually did a good job, even though history in a lot of people's minds sort of is questionable. He was great. He built one of the best defenses in NFL history that was great for years. He built 2 guys that should be in the Hall of Fame, and I think this year you will finally get both Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor in the Hall of Fame. Sam Madison's a borderline Hall of Famer. Patrick Surtain had a 5-6 year run as good as any cornerback, and that tandem for 5 or 6 years was the best tandem in the NFL and one of the best cornerback tandems ever, all drafted by the one and only Jimmy Johnson. So always been a big Jimmy Johnson fan. I had heard about the Big Chill, never been down there. We went back in August, September. That place is freaking amazing. First of all, like we work with a lot of really good restaurants between Tony Segreto, Mike Mayo, Landlubbers, love them all. They do great food. But a lot of the time when you go to like a beach place, the view is the thing, right? Like you're going there because it's the beach, Key Largo, the Keys, vacation. So whatever the food is, doesn't really matter. It's like second nature. That's not the case. Jimmy Johnson's is not only the food's good, but the food's like different. That's another cool thing too. Like you get bar food, and bar food's fine. But they do like really cool things. They do like a nachos with pork, like that Jimmy and jalapenos that Jimmy Johnson loves that we had that were spectacular. They do pizza there. They have like a pizza oven. Like they do the fisherman pizza that has like lobster and shrimp and like seafood on it. They do a bunch of different really interesting stuff that really works well. Our buddy CJ works with them. They have an Italian restaurant a little bit further down, closer to Marathon. But John Congemi, who we have on every Monday, his brother Dominic Congemi runs the Big Chill with Larry Calvano, another good dude, all St. Thomas people, big South Florida people. If you're heading down to the Keys, even if you're not staying in Key Largo, well, that's what's cool about it is it's like the northern part of Key Largo. So if you're heading down to the Key West, which is a hike, stop at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, grab a bite, hang out in the area. You can be there all day. It's a great place to catch football action. And even without football, like John says every Monday, you could grab a beer, grab a cocktail, chill out. It's the definition of great Keys fun. So check out Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill of Key Largo. Check us out. Coming up next, I see the man himself. The one and only Dave Gurgus Gurgley is there. We will bring him on, and we will kickstart the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Coming up next, right here at the Defo Show with Lubie on the Ion channel. Again, you can also check us out on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I take a lot of our South Florida stuff and put it there if you just want South Florida, because we like talking about everything. But if you just want South Florida stuff, you can find it on 5 Reasons Sports Network. And each and every day, we do an exclusive podcast for the Believe Podcast Network after hours. Today, my guest is Eric Roberts. Yes, that Eric Roberts is my guest today on After Hours with Defo and Lubie on the Believe Podcast Network. So tune into that. Just go to Believe.com, search After Hours. Coming up next, right here on the Ion channel, you will get not only more of me, but a man who's a lot more talented and a lot more iconic, the one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgley. We will kickstart our Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up next, right here on the Defo Show with Lubie on the Ion channel.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place. And that one place is Catholic Health Services.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing. Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Buy or lease a house and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Mr. Pentangeli, were you a member of the Corleone family? Did you serve under capo regime under Vito Corleone, also known as the Godfather?
I never Mr. Pentangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me in sign. I ask you again, sir. Here and now, under oath. Were you at any time a member of a crime organization headed by Michael Corleone?
I don't know nothing about that. Oh, I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago. That's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. First sworn affidavit. Murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession?
But the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. And I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yes.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
Welcome. One and all. That's what it is. It's gurgles. Background noise is loud again. Once again, we with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Only Dave Gurgles Gurgley is there on the screen. Good morning, Mr. Dave Gurgles Gurgley.
Good morning, Mike. I'm live here at Miami Lakes Golf Club, where I just got the North American Mining Corporation off on an 8 o'clock shotgun, formerly known as Shula's, back to our original name, Miami Lakes Golf Club. And it's a pleasure to see Hialeah Park in the background. And our good friend Frank Fiore sent me some information. I know we've got some calls coming up on the Hialeah Park Trivia Show, but let me tell you about this Friday. And even for gringos like me, it's the Gran Noche del Boxeo Cubano, the great night of Cuban boxing. And that's a 10-fight bill starting at 6 o'clock at Hialeah Park. And I was at the last time they had boxing there. It was great. It features undefeated Cuban super bantamweight contender Johannes Argiagos, and I've been working on pronunciation, against former IBO bantamweight title holder Mikel Banquez. So this 10-fight deal gets off 6 o'clock. Go to hialeahpark.com to find out about tickets. What a great venue. You're right on the finish line. There's the ring right there. We sat ringside, or you're undercover up there. It is terrific at Hialeah Park. And the way I want to spend my day, I'll go Friday afternoon, bet the races at Hialeah, go over to the casino, get a bite to eat, stay there for the race, stay there for the boxing. If they let me, I'd get a hotel right there and stay there for Saturday morning. They'll open probably 10:30, where you can bet the Pegasus and all the simulcast racing at Hialeah Park. So don't miss this boxing. The 10-fight card is highlighted by the main event, as we mentioned. It's actually going to be televised, as a matter of fact, and it's going to be a pay-per-view, but I'd rather see it in person. It's nothing like it. Frank Fiore and the gang put on a great thing. Joe Kubas is involved in that, and we've seen some great fights at Hialeah Park. Put on your calendar for this Friday and go there Saturday. Gulfstream, great place to go for the Pegasus. They'll have limited seating. I'm going to Hialeah Park and bet the Pegasus and all the simulcasting as well. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up next. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Greg. So this, again, as Greg just said, is the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. The Professor Kenji is supposed to be joining us. He's not here. But I'm lucky to have the one and only Greg's birthday. So feel free to give us a call to get you on your shot at a Man Lovers Ticket 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070 to get in Hialeah Park Trivia. All right, before we get to people, I do want to ask you. It's funny, unlike Defo, who's old, you're not totally old, but you're old school in a sense. I give you a lot of credit. You are modernized your life. MLB Hall of Fame did their voting this week. What was your take? Right? Because I used to be a guy that hated the steroids, hated them. But to me, if they're all using steroids, then how are you delineating between? Like, what was your thought this week on the MLB Hall of Fame voting? You think Bonds and Clemens should get in? If they're not in, like, what were your thoughts?
Well, I think to an extent, it is a little bit of a popularity contest. David Ortiz could not probably be popular with the media for his role playing with the Red Sox, where they were down 3-0 to the Yankees in that American League Championship Series. Saw a Boston fan frowning, walking down the street. He said, turn that frown upside down. We're going to come back and beat those Yankees 4-3. But as far as numbers go, Schilling, although he was a pitcher, not an offensive player, his numbers are comparable to Ortiz as far as post-game experiences and everything he's done. As far as Bonds goes, I don't know what's going to happen with Bonds. If you tell the story about baseball, Bonds and McGuire and Sosa, do they belong in the Hall of Fame? It's so nebulous or cloudy because some of those rules and those bans weren't enforced way back then. The guy I think belongs in the Hall of Fame that's been snubbed all these years, Pete Rose. Pete Rose was Mr. Baseball. Now, he's a complete jerk as a person. No doubt about it. I've seen him mistreat pari-mutuel tellers, do all kinds of stuff. But, man, the way he played the game, Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame. Ortiz, a lock. And they get in the habit of not putting too many in that Baseball Hall of Fame. Football seems to put a lot more in.
It's just funny that they're letting personal, because it's not steroids, it's not PEDs, because Ortiz failed the test. It's who was nice and who wasn't, which it's a weird thing to me to put someone into a museum because of the way that they treated you. However, we are ready for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We have our first person on the line. So we will go right to the one and only Dave Burgley for some
Easy Baseball in honor of the Paulie Man. And we got this one. This Yankee slugger, when asked about his defensive play in the outfield, said, let's put it this way. The only way I'm going to get a Gold Glove is with a can of spray paint. Thank you for that nebulous laughter there. All right. Solicitous. And who do we got? Lenny.
Let me give you a trivia scramble. Yes, Lenny the Chronic is on with us. Good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Lenny.
All righty.
How are you, Gergs?
Good. How's your health? You keeping up the good work?
So far, so good.
Attaboy, Lenny. I'm proud of you. Good for you. I guess he's got 1 point.
1 point. Here's your true false question.
Okay, Lenny. Hockey. Believe it or not, Lenny, last week at Hershey, Pennsylvania, Axel Jonsson Fjallby's first period goal for the Hershey Bears Saturday night ignited the launching of more than 52,000 teddy bears onto the ice for the annual American Hockey League team's charity game. True or false?
I believe that's true. That's true.
You better believe the teddy bear toss is set up by the Washington Caps affiliate in Hershey that benefits charities across the United States. And what they do once the first goal is scored, they go to intermission. And they threw 52,000 teddy bears on the ice for the kids. A great event that charity donated to charity. Like the old days, they said they asked one of the New York Rangers when they threw I don't know what it was, program night on the Frank. He says, "Thank goodness it's not machete night." So that worked out well. All right, Lenny. Now we go to your 3-point question, Lenny.
Okay.
Now I got to give you a good one. Let's see. All right, here we go. Football, Super Bowl IV, the LA Rams lost 31-19 to the Super Bowl 14. I beg your pardon. The Rams lost 31-19 to the Steelers. Who scored the only touchdown for the Rams in Super Bowl 14? Was that
Good one.
Harold Jackson, Lawrence McCutcheon, Jack Snow, or Ron Smith?
Let's go with Ron Smith.
Yes. And you know how he scored it, Lenny?
Ron Smith.
A 24-yard pass from running back Lawrence McCutcheon. Maybe that's what I should ask you. Okay, here we go. Baseball, Lenny, your 5-point question. In 2014, 3 players were selected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Which of the following was not selected in 2014? Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, Frank Thomas, or Pedro Martinez, which was not selected in 2014?
Let's go with Pedro.
He's got it. That guy's tough to beat. Wow. Landlubbers has filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy due to Lenny.
All right, Lenny, man, we love you. Congrats, I think you did a sweeper, so good for you. You will be in the final. We're going to take a break, and I'll get on the next person to join our trivia challenge. Thank you for joining us this morning. This is the highly appreciated challenge. I am joined by the one and only Dave Burgley. Next, we have more trivia challenge. Lenny already took mantle to start us off. Coming up next, we'll have more trivia challenge actions. Very abbreviated version of trivia challenge. Again, give us a call 954-417-4070. You got the fights this Friday at Hialeah Park, HialeahPark.com. And before we go, I think that always seems to go hand in hand to me. A little bit of cigar act. You seem to have a relationship with one of the great cigar makers out there, Mr. David Burgley.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I could be at Hialeah Park watching a 10-fight undercard or total card, watch the great champions fighting and 9 other fights, and I can be sitting outside with a Perdomo cigar. Now, you don't need to be at the fights for a Perdomo cigar. You can be in your own backyard. But what a great place to enjoy a great cigar. 305-627-6700, the number to call. 5150 Northwest 167th Street, the place to go. They've been voted Cigar of the Year again for their 10th anniversary Maduro cigar, a great, great little punch cigar from them. And you would love any of their cigars. I like the Lot 23. I'm a little milder cigar guy in my old age, if you will. But Perdomo makes them perfect one at a time. Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua. They've now got, what do they got? Nick Jr. This is a 4th generation of making cigars perfect one at a time. I think I got a horse, believe it or not, for this Saturday in a maiden special race. My Perdomo horse, I think, is in the 4th race called Complete Agenda. Coming in from Tampa Bay. I think he's 4-1, and I believe it's the 4th race. Double check it. I don't have Saturday's form yet, but you can always be a winner with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
All righty, coming up next, we will our player of our only team of and this is the highly apart tribute town of Sequels in Vegas. I am joined by the legend himself, Dave Bruce. Thirdly, stay tuned. More trivia challenge action. If you tried to call in, thank you. I will give you a call right now in the break. We have more trivia challenge coming up right here on the Defo Show with Lubitz.
It's the Gambling Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. One of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish, classic continental cuisine, and a cozy, friendly setting. The 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. We're open every day except Sunday, starting at 5 p.m. You go in there, you see Joey, and other half Sally. They give you the greatest in service. And the food, oh my goodness. Yeah, shrimp with garlic, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. Tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you, what do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food. Amazing atmosphere. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself. Places that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. So one day, folks, that you can forget about postcard diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination. When you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Hire Lisa's house and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles. Make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the game. Anna and the team at Deal call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of old school. And since we started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place. And that one place is Catholic Health Services.
The world, I mean, if my point was ever going to be embellished and going to be proven true, the world got true.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, you might not have Defo today, and you do get this man, the one and only Dave Gurgley. This is the highly apart challenge, even some technical issues once again, but we will get through. Andy Man sitting there on top. We're going to move on to our next player here in the highly apart challenge, the one and only the man, the myth, himself, Dave Gurgley.
All right, hockey. This former Panthers goalie, when asked if he liked facing 51 shots on goal during a game, said, "Oh, yeah, and I like jumping out of tall buildings, too." What's that? The Beezer? An old geezer? Try and please her, or don't let Paulie put you in the freezer.
All right, got the scrambler, and that is one and only Pat. Pat, how you doing, Pat?
Hey, guys. Hey.
Well done, Pat. All right, true or false? Golf. Hey. Believe it or not, actor Matthew McConaughey is an avid golfer and claims to have made 4 hole-in-ones during his golfing career. True or false?
Let's go with false.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yep. All right, here we go. 3-point question. Football. In 1984, the 49ers beat the Dolphins 38-16 in the Super Bowl. And that season, they went 15-1, with their only loss during that season coming to boom. Was it the Redskins, the Rams, the Eagles, or the Steelers? What do you think, Pat?
Hi, you there?
Rams.
No, as a matter of fact, Ray Wersching of the 49ers hit the upright, and they lost by 3 points to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 84.
All right.
All right, here we go.
This is your 5-point question, one and only Pat. So here you go.
Baseball. Jim Mudcat Grant made his major league debut for Cleveland on April 17th, 1958, at the age of 22, and he pitched a perfect game against his team. We had enough homes. Against what team was that? Kansas City Athletics, Detroit Tigers, Minnesota Twins, or New York Yankees?
Twins.
No, it was the Kansas City Athletics. Tough draw there, Pat. Thanks for calling. Call us next week.
All right, Pat, bombs away, my friend. We are having some technical issues with this. We're just going to tap out early if it could be a challenge. We appreciate you joining us. Before we let you go, I know we don't have Polly Man, but we love one of the Magic City Casino, Sav, and everyone they have over there. I know you've been out there a lot more than I have. I know they always have a lot going on. What are some of the things you know are going on there at a Magic City Casino?
I talked to Paulie, I think Tuesday, as a matter of fact. He's getting excited. Sunday, they do their Pick the Pros contest. They were having a football toss. You'll have to check with Paulie about that. The slot machines are probably as loose as you'll find Hialeah and Magic City both. And Magic City, of course, has got that great food down there. And the best thing about Magic City is the Paulie Man himself. You'll see him there in the sports area watching that with all the games on, betting all the horse racing as well. And Highlight has returned there. For more information on what days they play and how to get involved in Magic City, real simple. Go to magiccity.com.
All right, Gert, man, we love you. Thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it. We will have to figure out the technical issues once again next week. Enjoy the golf tournament. And here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
That's it?
That is it, my friend. You're a free man. Go enjoy your
tournament. Lenny wins. I see. It was a head-to-head with Lenny and Pat. Hey, yes, Mike, I appreciate it. You stay safe.
Back to a victory without a finals. I will see him later, so I'll give him another gift certificate. And Gert, thanks a lot for doing this.
Understandable. All right, then if you speak to Defo, tell him to bring some of that money back so he can pay me, you, and Paulie.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Gert, that wasn't
see you, Mike.
Gert was gurgly again. We had some technical issues. As you know, it happened in this biz. It's always fun, but we got through it. Frankie Fiore, if you're watching, do our best, as you know. We love you there at Hialeah Park. Again, the fight's tomorrow, Hialeah Park. They put on an amazing show. Just like we try to do here. They don't try, they do. The fights are going to be spectacular. Again, we'll talk tomorrow with Louis de Cubis at 7:20. He's the guy that set it all up. And Frankie Fiore is the man who runs it all there at Hialeah Park. So definitely check them out, hialeahpark.com, if you want to get tickets. They may be sold out already, but if they're not, it's definitely worth taking your shot at some tickets for Hialeah Park. Again, thank you to Landlubbers for giving away that gift certificate for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We do that each and every Thursday, usually at about 7:30. No Defo this week. So we went me, Gurgles, and me again, because you got the feedback, which is always great. That's the dream. Jack's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. So we did our best. We made it through. And thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. We got about another half an hour or so here. Going to be taking you to 9 o'clock Eastern time. 9 o'clock Eastern time. We are worldwide here on Ion Channel. Again, just Google The Defo Show. Check us out Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Amy does an amazing job managing everything. I give her all this stuff, and she puts it together and puts it out there on YouTube. So if you just Google The Defo Show, not only you get today's show, which is really cool, you get every show. We've been doing this now for 3 months on Ion Channel. We have a nice archives, and every show is there. You miss anything, no worries. I know we have a buddy, Jimmy, the great Jimmy, who's out in West Virginia, who's been following us for years. told me yesterday, I'm like, I hope you're listening. He's like, yeah, every day, man. You guys haven't skipped a beat. Well, in large part to Ion, Jack, Amy, Brad do an amazing job. Really appreciate the partnership with them, working with them, and them making us look as good as anyone can make us. Check out Ion channel. Just again, Google the Defo show and you get all of our shows. It's really cool. Everything we do. Check them out. Also, our more South Florida focused stuff, you can check on 5 Reasons Sports Network. And each and every day we do a special podcast. Today, my guest will be Eric Roberts. Yes, that Eric Roberts will be my guest today on the Believe Podcast Network. So check that out. And again, check us out when we come back. I love what Deef always says we sometimes when he's talking about himself. I'm by myself. So it's check me out here on the Defo Show with Lubie. We'll talk more about the Miami Dolphins head coaching search. The Denver Broncos have their man. So now I guess there's 7 jobs open on the NFL market. One of them is the Miami Dolphins. So supposedly they have their favorite. It's a guy that I actually want, which is rare. The Dolphins rarely do anything I want them to do. So we'll talk more about that, touch on the NFL playoffs as well, and the NBA right here on the Defo Show with Lubie. We may come back after this on the Ion channel.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Hey, it's Mike Mayo for Even Keel Fish Shack, corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard at Lauderdale by the Sea. It's my favorite place now for great seafood in a casual beachfront setting. They've got happy hour 4 to 7 Monday through Friday. They've got great dishes like grilled oysters and oysters on the half shell, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, octopus. They also have burgers and chicken for those who don't like the seafood. They're open 7 days a week for a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack. Go say hi to Dave and Brad and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Your little toss. Come on.
Oh, that's it. Okay. That's it. Thank God.
You idiot.
Thank God.
Thank God, please. There's nothing to do with God.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the Defo Show with Lubie. I actually am solo. I didn't expect to be, didn't think I'd be. The professor is a lot of fun on air. He's very off color and he pushes the envelope, but he's someone that definitely is the yang to my yin. Was supposed to join me. He is a night owl, so I presume I lost him. Hopefully we'll maybe get him on tomorrow because I do want to transition out of football into basketball. Like usually when football season ends or Degenerate Fridays end, I don't want to do that. I think in this world where gambling has finally caught up to us over the last 12 years and for the last 40 years. I'd like to keep Degenerate Friday going throughout the year. And I know people gamble year round. They not only bet on football, but they bet on college basketball, the NBA. The professor's really good on college basketball. So tomorrow I think I'm going to bring him on and we'll make sure he's here. And we'll talk a little college basketball with him. We'll have Mark Lawrence coming on tomorrow. It is a deal Degenerate Friday, of course. So you got to have handicappers. We'll have Mark Lawrence, championship winning handicapper, joining us at about 8:20, 8:25. The professor will join us at 8:05. Grant Long, longtime Miami Heat player, longtime NBA player, current Detroit Pistons analyst, will join us at about 7:35. And Louis DeCubas, we've talked a lot about these fights at Hialeah. There's a reason. Yeah, we love Hialeah, but the fights are amazing. And Frank Fiore does such a tremendous job with everything he does there. And look, Dennis Testa, sorry, you won't let me do the background when I'm by myself, but imagine Hialeah Park there. As I would love to imagine Hialeah Park because it's freaking amazing. Dennis Tessa, everyone with Hialeah Park does a really good job. And Frank become a dear friend of ours. And we have a great time there. But on top of that, the fights are just so fun. Like they get a really good card. They get really good action. And like, it's not just inside, it's outside. So you get the weather this weekend is supposed to be spectacular. It couldn't work out better for Frank and everyone at Hialeah Park. So definitely, again, HialeahPark.com. Lenny won the trivia challenge, and we have more players. That's what's interesting. Like last week, it's week to week, the amount of people that call is different, but we had a lot of people calling in. We only were able to get 2 people on. Pat, thank you, Pat, first-time player on this way of the trivia challenge. Thanks for challenging Lenny, but Lenny the Chronic is freaking monster. Like Gurgles, literally, if anyone's followed the trivia challenge, like Gurgles is a nice dude, but like he tries to have people fail. Like when we do trivia, we want people to get it right a lot of the time because it can get old if people keep getting it wrong. No, Gurgles like relishes it. And Lenny just knocked it out of the park and went straight through, got his 10 points. And he is our winner today for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, a Landlubbers gift certificate, a place I'll be at tonight. I don't know why you'd want to meet me, but if you would, I'd love to meet you. Come out to Landlubbers about 6:30 to about 8. We do trivia. The professor joins me. I join him. And it's a lot of fun. It's a little different. We have a good time, and they are the best wings. Whatever wing prices are, they're worth it. I've been going there for years, my whole life, honestly, and never had a better wing than Landlubbers. So check out Landlubbers. Check us out tonight. And check out more of the Defo Show with Lubie right here each and every day, Monday through Friday, on the Ion channel. Again, like Jack likes to say, Defo likes to say, just Google us. Like I'm all about clicking on a link, and the link works, but sometimes people have trouble with that for some reason. Just Google us, the Defo Show. Now you don't have to remember a website. The Defo Show, and you get every show we've done here on Ion for the last 3 months. It's been a lot of fun. Start here. It's been interesting. Like when you walk into the office on a Tuesday and you've been doing a show for 11 years and there's no whispers about anything ending and you think everything's fine because you have a lot of fun. Sponsors are happy. The listeners seem to be growing. You're getting good response and they tell you they're going in a different direction. You sort of feel like you're on a wire, like you're on a wire with no net. Thank God we got with Jack, Amy, Brad here on Ion. Also doing some stuff with Believe and 5 Reasons. So definitely happy with the start we've had here. Looking for, as Defo, Amy, Jack like to say, a huge 2022. Some things in the works with me, some things with Defo. We're always looking to do bigger and better. And that's why we're happy to be with Jack and Amy and Brad, because they're always thinking big here on Ion channel. Okay, so talked a lot about the NFL playoffs. Gave my picks, and I get it. There's no Defo. Defo has the old man in his head. I have the Defo in my head. I have my wife sometimes in my head too, because she's always like right there. Like it's so funny because I don't understand how guys cheat. First of all, I'm not a cheater, but I don't judge others. My wife's here. Like I always have Shirley there. Like I feel her. Like the minute a woman walks up to me, I can feel Shirley staring at me. She's at home. she's at work. I still feel her. So I give you credit. Those that can ignore their wife, I can't. I always have Shirley. And when Defo's not here, Defo in my head, making fun of me for giving picks because I get them wrong a lot more than I get them right. But we're here talking about the games, and it is the Defo show, so you have to have lines and you have to have wagers. I mean, because what else would our show be without that? So again, the Chiefs are favored by 7.5. For you lay people, that's 7.5 over the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think that line's about right. And I think the Chiefs will win, and I think it'll be a good game. I just think they'll cover the spread, and I think the Rams game, I wouldn't put any money on it because the Rams have scared the living crap out of anyone that has put money on them recently. But I think they're going to win and cover. What's an interesting story out of the NFL, and it's something near our heart in South Florida. And what's cool about doing the digital thing is you're totally universal. Like, yeah, look, every radio show is on some kind of an app now, so you can be heard anywhere. But most of the time, people think of you as being on the radio. Well, being digital, people think of you as everywhere. So we try to talk about things not just South Florida. But first of all, now we're out of South Florida. It's just, as they like to say, pardon my French, a shit show down here. So even if you are national, it's always fun to poke fun and talk about South Florida, especially the sports team. Because outside the Miami Heat, I know the Canes are getting their act together, and they're very proud of themselves for making what was a great hire in Mario Cristobal. But again, we've been, just like the Panthers and the Marlins, we've been shoved down for the last 20 years by these franchise and organizations. So it is hard for us to believe in them. The Heat are the one organization since the mid-90s, since Pat Riley came, that they just do. Even when I thought they should tank, they found a way to win. They had no cap space. They had no people anyone wanted. They had no draft picks. Somehow got Jimmy Butler to come and went to an NBA Finals. So the Heat, thank God for them. Everyone else has been sort of a disaster here. The Miami Dolphins are not any different. The Miami Dolphins were the banner franchise. The Miami Dolphins went to like 4 or 5 Super Bowls in like 10 years. And they started in like 69 and then went to 3 straight Super Bowls, 1 back-to-back. The only undefeated season in the 70s. Then in the 80s went to 2. Then you go and get Marino, by most people's account, the top 5 quarterback ever, at worst top 10. So you have him for 15 years. So the Dolphins, young people don't know this, but I grew up, the Dolphins were one of those franchises, right? Like it was the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys, one of those banner franchises that was like a tent pole for the NFL. The Dolphins were too. Like you had Don Shula, guy who was became the winningest coach, guy who had won Super Bowls, been to Super Bowls with multiple organizations in the Colts, Baltimore Colts, and the Miami Dolphins. You had Joe Robbie, who was an owner who stayed the hell away, built his own stadium. Like you had a franchise that won each and every year. Like I think Don Shula had 1 year under 500, like 1. And I think 1 or 2 not in the playoffs. Like the Dolphins just won, and they went from 1 Hall of Fame quarterback in Bob Greasy to Dan Marino. So you just figured. I remember being in college, and it was the early 2000s, and that's when the Patriots sucked my whole life. Like I'm talking to the young in here because people my age and older know this. The young people don't know any of this. It's weird for me to think about this, but like I remember being in college, and we had some Dolphin fans, and we had one buddy who was a Patriot fan. And the Patriots sucked my whole life, so we made fun of him. Like the Dolphins won every year. They had just brought in Saban, who was going to at least at worst win, right? He may not win a Super Bowl, but he's going to win. He had just won a championship in college. Like the dude knew football. We were excited. The Patriots had never won. Like they had this Belichick guy who sucked with the Browns. Like we mocked this dude mercifully, and he couldn't say anything because we were right. The Dolphins had always won. The Patriots had always lost. Fast forward 20 years, the Dolphins are probably the best dynasty. Not the Dolphins, the Patriots, Freudian slip. Patriots are probably best dynasty ever. Makes me sick because they cheated a lot. And they got caught every time. So they're not even good at the cheating. Like they cheated like 5 times over the last 20 years, got caught a lot. So that is definitely there, but they won. Whatever it is, they didn't take away the wins. They won lots of Super Bowls in an era you're not supposed to win. Like literally the rules, salary cap wise in the NFL, are made so you don't win. Like they don't want winning. What we have right now, the parity you saw from this year where no one really knew who was great. Pete Rozelle in the 80s, that was his dream. Like he wanted parity because, yeah, it might be boring, but it gives more markets interest, more markets all year long. Your team, like, because the minute your team's out of it, it's really hard a lot of the time to be into the sport. Football is a little easier, but like if your team's out of it week 2, And you know that if you're the Texans, like how much football were you really watching? Were you watching the same amount as when you were winning? You probably not. So parity gives more markets a chance longer. So that was like Pete Rozelle's dream. Well, the NFL has it now, but over the last 20 years, they haven't. Like the Patriots either won or had a really good shot to win every year. That was not the case when I was growing up. So the Dolphins, even though it's a local story, they're regional except for when things are bad. Like they used to be a national franchise. They're not anymore because they haven't won. But when things are bad, people pay attention. Like no one talked about the Dolphins all year, even though they had won like 7 in a row, won 8 of 9 to finish the year. The day Flores is fired, oh my God, the Dolphins had such an interesting year. Look at the Dolphins. How do they fire Flores? Because that's how the nation sees the Miami Dolphins now. They have a coaching search going on 2 or 3 weeks now. You've heard a lot of names mentioned. I don't know who will be successful because we haven't had anyone successful. Even Flores wasn't successful. Like Flores went 10-6 last year, went 9-8 this year, but started out dreadfully all 3 years he was here. And the offense, even though it put up the best numbers in year 1 or year 2, it wasn't good. The offense hasn't been good since freaking Marino. And Flores was tabbed to make the offense good. And every year he changed out his offense coordinator to the point where he had 2 this year. And word was he was going to change them out again. So Flores hadn't done a good job. He didn't do a bad job. He did an okay job. He's out. He's interviewing at places. The Dolphins have interviewed Mike McDonald, the offensive coordinator with the Niners. They've interviewed Doug Peterson, who was the head coach with the Philadelphia Eagles. They've interviewed Vance Joseph, and they've interviewed the man that now supposedly is a front runner, the one and only Brian Daboll, the guy who is the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. He coached at Alabama under Nick Saban for just a year because he had been in the NFL before that. He was become like you know how like stars, when something crazy goes on in their life, they magically go to rehab because I have a problem, even though it was like stealing. The stealing is a problem because they drink. So they go to rehab. The rehab for coaches is Alabama. Like right now, they have 2 NFL coaches. Like Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone, 2 NFL head coaches, are an offensive coordinator and position coach at Alabama college. Because you go there, you win, really because of Saban. I mean, it's not because of them, it's because of Saban, and then you go get another head coaching job. Bill O'Brien already is getting head coaching opportunities, and Doug Marrone, I'm sure, will at some point soon, because he actually wasn't a horrible NFL head coach. He just went to Jacksonville, where coaches go to ruin their resumes, ruin their careers. Daboll is a guy that has done a really good job in Buffalo. Like Josh Allen, before Daboll got there, was running guy that wasn't accurate. And now Josh Allen, by many people, is considered in the argument for top quarterback in the NFL. And it was exactly when Daboll got there. Josh Allen's given Daboll a lot of credit. McDermott's a defensive guy as a head coach, so by all accounts, Daboll is running the offense, calling the plays, and has been very hands-on with Josh Allen. And he did coach Tua at Alabama when he was becoming Tua, and they have a really good relationship. And that's what was missing here before. As if anyone watches or listens to our show, I've been in the tank for Tua. And it's not because I hate Bama. Like, it's not, I've never had a bias toward Tua until he got here. It's from what I saw of him and what I've seen from our other quarterbacks. Our quarterbacks in the past year with Miami were not accurate. If you look at the great quarterbacks now, they're all really accurate. That's Tua's specialty, is getting rid of the ball quickly, reading the defense, throwing to the open spot, getting his receiver the ball in the perfect place for his receiver to make a big play, which is the one thing Tannehill didn't do then and still doesn't do in Tennessee. So I was excited for Tua, and he hasn't been given a chance. Like that. Yes, Justin Herbert is more physically gifted. Joe Burrow is more physically gifted. Both came into actually better situations. Both the teams they went to gave them a real chance, gave them receivers. The Bengals have sort of helped the offensive line. The Chargers made their offensive line from garbage to top like 10 in the league this year. The Dolphins haven't done any of that. They got him one receiver who's really a 3 in Jalen Waddle. He has no other receivers. The receivers he has are always hurt or drop the ball. And the offensive line, even though they've addressed it via the draft, via trades, via free agent market, the offensive line's gotten worse every year. Like Tua literally should be amongst the league leaders in sacked. He's the opposite. He's amongst the league leaders in not being sacked. He's like top 5 in not being sacked, even though Pro Football Focus has the Dolphins offensive line ranked worst in the NFL. So to me, If the dude's able to avoid sacks, he's throwing more touchdowns than interceptions, he's leading the team to victories without any help, why not give him a real shot? So why not find Brian Flores the entire time did anything he could to undermine Tua, like he did. And we didn't need him to be fired to know that. Every move he made, keeping Fitzpatrick the year you drafted Tua, made 0 sense. 0 sense. Like Fitzpatrick is a guy that wants to start. He hasn't hid that. He's hit or miss as a starter, but at least he knows the offense better than Tua, so he's going to look better than Tua at times. You just had him sitting over Tua, hanging over a shadow. It made no sense. So it was clear Flores did that to screw with Tua, which made no... Look, I'm not telling you to baby your quarterback. They're supposed to be grown men. They're getting paid a lot of money. But you should give your quarterback confidence. Like, you should make him feel like he's your guy. If he's not, then get rid of him. But until he proves he's not, until you give him every chance to succeed, believe in him. Like, Flores never did. The offensive coordinators he hired made no... Like, bringing in Chan Gailey, who hadn't coached in like 5 years, who the last time he coached was not for a smallish quarterback who's accurate but doesn't have the strongest arm. Like, it was for like Chan Gailey ran totally different offenses than what works for Tua. So like Flores was very clear that he wasn't targeting Tua. This year he had 2 offensive coordinators and Charlie Fry, who's good for Tua, but that was year 3. And even then, like it's always been He's never shot down the Watson rumors. He always just said, we're sticking with Tua, but he never shot it down. Literally this week, the New York Giants, who had rumors for Watson, said point blank, in 1 week, we're not getting Deshaun Watson. What he has swirling around does not vibe with us. Didn't even mince words. Brian Flores, for 2 years with Tua there, just let the Watson rumors hang. So to me, all those people that hate on Tua, I think it's dumb. He might not be good, but shouldn't the Dolphins at least give him an actual chance to be good? So that's why I like Daboll out of Buffalo, because he has a connection to Tua. He's helped fix Allen. Now, look, the issue Allen had was accuracy, and that's not Tua's issue. Tua's issue is help and having an offense catered to him and realizing, fine, he might not have the biggest arm. So when you have a guy breaking open, you got to get the ball out there early. If you can't make a decision late and catch up with your arm, then you have to be smart. You have to do what he did at Alabama. Get rid of the ball quickly, early, to a guy who looks like he's going to be open, hit a spot, and then he can take the ball, because it's not like Tua's throwing it 50 yards down the field. He's not Burrow. He's not Herbert. But Drew Brees wasn't either. And Drew Brees had an amazing career. Like, being accurate. Tom Brady didn't have a cannon. Like, he wasn't known to have a cannon. He was just extremely accurate and very smart. And that's what Tua is. So bring a guy that will cater an offense to Tua, put skill position players around Tua that will help him succeed, get a GM with a head coach that will actually build an offensive line, because Greer's there, but I don't trust him. So if you're going to keep Greer, at least a guy like Daboll makes sense for Tua. Now, look, Tony Segreto brought this up yesterday. And I couldn't retort it because we were ending the show, but he was like, are you really going to bring in one guy for one guy? Yes, you are. Like, you drafted a guy 5th overall. That's what teams do. They bring coaches, offensive coordinators to cater to their quarterback. If Tua isn't the guy, that doesn't mean you just fire Daboll, right? If Daboll's good with quarterbacks, that's just good. Because if he's good with young quarterbacks, if Tua doesn't work out, okay, so then you go next year, hopefully he's a better quarterback draft. You go and draft a quarterback, and Daboll, again, who's good with young quarterbacks, will hopefully be good with that quarterback. So in essence, you're not bringing in Daboll just for Tua. You're bringing in Daboll because he should be good for Tua or whoever is next. Supposedly, the Dolphins have him as their favorite. However, they haven't offered him the job yet. And the Giants like Daboll a lot too. So we will see what the heck happens with that. This has been the Defo Show with Lubie. A big thank you to Jack and everyone for putting up with the technical issues that happen. Look, it is what it is. Defo and I made fun of this for years. We used to lead the league in blown remotes just because the phone line wouldn't work, and that wasn't nothing to do with us. Gurgles is trying there, and he got on with me to do the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Didn't sound good. Thank you, Lenny and Pat, for playing. All of you, and there was a ton of people who called, all of you who tried to get in. Sorry we couldn't get you on. We will have the kinks worked out for next Thursday, another edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And Gurgles will be back. Maybe the Polyman. Definitely Defo will be back by next Thursday. I've had a lot of fun here. I hopefully didn't bore you too much. I know I'm very different than Defo. I know we actually get to a little bit more sports without Defo, with a little less humor, because Defo is just an entity unto himself. But I do appreciate everyone who stuck with me this morning, who joined in, who jumped out. Thank you. I will be back tomorrow. There'll be a lot more guests, so it'll be a little less of me blathering and blabbing. Tomorrow at 7:20, we'll have Louis the Cubist talk about the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, but also more importantly, talk about the Hialeah Park fights that you have tomorrow night. HialeahPark.com for that. 7:35, Grant Long will be joining me at 8:05-ish. The professor should join me, talk a little college basketball, talk a little NFL, and he'll give his take on the MLB Hall of Fame voting. And at 8:25-ish, Mark Lawrence, the legendary handicapper, will join me. And at 8:35, 8:40, we will go to the Gambling Gourmet, the one and only Mike Mayo, talk a little bit of food and football fun tomorrow and later today. If you want to check out the Believe Podcast Network After Hours, just search After Hours. I am talking to the one and only Eric Roberts. Yes, that Eric Roberts is joining me on After Hours with Defo and Lubie. No Defo today, just me everywhere. Tomorrow again, me, and Monday, me. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And check me out tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. right here on the Defo Show with Lubie on the ION channel.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.